All right, Pedro, what's up?
I'm doing well.
It's good to see
I'm
you.
doing likewise. It's been a long
I,
time.
I feel like we see each other intermittently,
Yeah.
like every year and a half to 3 years at a show somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's nice to always know that you're still around doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I feel well because you're older. You're an older guy who's been going to shows for a while.
For a while. Yeah.
And we have we don't necessarily go to the same shows, but there is like a Venn diagram somewhere in the middle where
Yeah.
it meets every now and then.
Right.
And it's cool to be like, oh, that guy's still doing his thing, which it's nice to see, you know?
Oh yeah.
Especially in like a transient college town, you feel like people fade out every 4 years.
Right. Right.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of that. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I see it as fresh blood.
Yeah.
Coming in potential. More like potential scenesters, folks in the scene.
That's a nice way to look at it, you know? Like,
yeah.
even if, 10% or 5% of the kids stick around after they graduate, over time.
Yep. That's about the ratio.
Yeah.
They come in and the idea is they come in and into the scene, they have a good time, or they learn how to book shows or how to publish a zine. I'm publishing a zine because nobody's doing that once
No
in a
one
while.
does them anymore, yeah.
And I think, I have a theory, but I'll explain it. But yeah, learn how to book a show or play an instrument. There was this one young woman who, friend of a friend, and we were at this show. I think it was Antarctica. No, I can't remember the venue. But anyway, she was sitting, and I knew her, and I was sitting in the room, and across there was, a sofa, and I was sitting on a sofa. Across it's a big room. It's a big living room, and there were these three women. They were talking, and the female friend, she was sitting there all alone.
Sure.
And so I get up and walk out because I knew it was only a matter of time. The female gravitational force would bring them all together. And about 20 minutes later, I walk in and they're sharing the Facebook. And I heard the girl saying that she never really thought about playing a musical instrument.
Yeah.
But you come into the scene and people say you want to learn how to play a musical instrument.
Yeah.
Like somebody told me, Pedro, I am surprised you haven't learned how to play all these years. You haven't. So I got a guitar.
Cool.
And Guitar for Dummies. And
Classic. I know there was First Fest at Flemington a while ago that Kelly helped put together, and it was really encouraging of anyone that wants to learn an instrument or play a show, because it should be anyone that wants to play just should fucking play.
Exactly so. And the thing about playing government funding for the arts and stuff are cut constantly, and the thing is. And there was for a while there was this argument that if it's been proven that kids who learn how to play a musical instrument are good at math.
Sure.
And and it kind of that makes sense and it's true, but at the same time it's really the only time learning how to play a musical instrument is worthwhile if something positive serious math. Really, it's not enough that a person sit down for hours and just practice and make mistakes and learn from the mistakes and try not to be cruel to themselves for making mistakes.
It's grueling. It is.
Yeah, and working with other people, working in concert with other people, paying attention to what other people are doing and things like that.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot going on, with as well as learning, being better at math.
Sure.
But
it does. I teach music actually, so I did learn all the stats so I could throw in parents and teachers' faces, because it's an uphill battle being in the arts, because it is being cut a lot. And I'm lucky where I work in a good town for art and music, but I think there's something cognitive where it works different parts of your brain at the same time, and it just gets your brain communicating with itself better, and just makes you more alert.
Exactly.
And, counting.
Exactly so.
Yeah. So, and it's
it changes your brain. It does.
It does, and it stimulates your brain too. There's a theory that if you're pregnant, put headphones on your belly and make the baby listen to classical music or jazz or death metal, something technical and melodic and fast. Something stimulating, rather.
Something stimulating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think it definitely
not
is
the
a
Rocky
positive.
Horror Picture Show soundtrack. That's a little much.
Might shape your child in a very different way. So I'm all for lining up a bunch of pregnant people and playing different music and seeing the results.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Right? Studies like that. But it's nice that you're playing guitar now. So are you just kind of fucking around with it? Or?
I'm just fucking around with it.
Yeah. See, that's still cool, dude.
Yeah.
It seems like you have a lot that you want to say, right? And that's one outlet you could express yourself.
Yeah.
You've been doing spoken word sets, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do those go?
They're fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. Only recently have I been doing more. There's an open mic at this co-op, in New
On
Brunswick.
George Street?
George Street Co-op.
Cool.
And which I haven't been going to, but I'll be going to again. I keep forgetting to. It's something I have to plan. You have to set aside time in the
Sure.
evening. This is like hours at a time.
And you
So-
walk most places, right?
I walk most places.
That's
I don't
awesome.
drive. I do have a bicycle,
Yeah.
but
For this area, that's fine.
yeah, it's a walkable area. It's a
Yeah.
walkable
You can get to the train easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the train. It's my favorite way to travel, I think.
Yeah, trains are fun. I was planning on doing like a cross country train trip like last summer. I played like some shows on the West Coast, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take a train back for like 10 days. And then I was starting my new job as a teacher, and I got a letter that orientation would have been like in the middle of this train trip, so I was unable to go. But it was heartbreaking because I would love to just ride in a train across country through like Colorado and like Nebraska and like Arizona, like through like the West and the Midwest, and just like all that vast nothingness and open space. I lose touch of that sometimes, like just living over here.
Yeah.
Just everything's like kind of stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
And I love it, but it's a lot sometimes. So.
Yeah, I'm like everybody knows you. Is that what you mean, or?
Well, no, I don't think everyone knows me in that sense. I just feel like claustrophobic sometimes.
Claustrophobic. I get
More in
you.
the sense like it's fucking 3 a.m. and my neighbors are blasting music on the patio and partying and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I now that I'm wondering. Now, see, that's not likely to happen where I live now. But if I was living back on Lewis Street, I probably would do that. Just get up. It's 3 a.m. I'm just okay. I might as. Am I gonna tell them to like put it down, or I'm just gonna like invite myself in and just like, what are you doing? Are you smoking something? Are you drinking something?
yeah, where's the party?
I'm up. It's 3 a.m. and I'm up, so I may as well get involved. Or if not, okay, we'll just keep it down then. If you're not going to invite me in, just keep it down.
Totally.
So I can get some sleep.
Yeah, just be cool. Either way, share what you have, or just
Right. And I would bring something to smoke. I wouldn't come in empty-handed.
That's hospitality. Right there. A bunch of my neighbors were like, and it's weird because like there's adults that party in the front yard, and then there's like 20-year-olds in that party in the backyard, all in the same house, and I'm somewhere in between, like age-wise. I mean, I'm 27, but still, I don't really connect with the adults. And the kids like were listening to rap and like smoking blunts, and like we talked a little bit like, oh, is that like new Childish Gambino track? But it's like I'm not gonna go hang out with like 19-year-old kids. They're gonna just think I'm weird. So
yeah,
if it was more, because I'm like in Somerset, so I'm outside of New Brunswick. If I was on Lewis Street, I think it'd be a little different vibe. It seems like a little more communal there.
Yes.
So how long did you live on Lewis Street for?
At least 2 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was a great summer. There was a couple of great summers.
Yeah.
Got to take care of a dog one year.
That's awesome.
That was good. That was so much fun.
Yeah. How long ago?
This is like the 2018. So it was like 8-9 years ago.
That's what I thought. Yeah, when we were playing a lot of shows, I was playing a lot of shows at Gabe's house at I think like 46 Lewis Street or 27. Like and Rob Gray lived next door and did a lot of shows in his basement.
Yeah.
Like a fucking glow stick party, I think there was.
Glow stick party, yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before that, were you always in like this area of like New Brunswick, or?
I was born in Newark and went to high school in Perth Amboy. And
Okay.
in the 80s moved to New Brunswick.
Yeah. Just like in the 80s, you were like in your early 20s, late teens, and
mid 20s.
Cool.
When I went to New Brunswick.
Just gravitated towards like the music scene here.
I got like involved in the music scene. I was like made aware of the local music scene.
Yeah.
When I moved to New Brunswick, I was, I wasn't really going to shows in my mid 20s. I went to like some shows when I was younger, and what brought me into like more back into the scene, like listening, I would listen to the music. I was I was into the Ramones.
Sure.
And the Clash. I thought were brilliant.
Yeah.
And some other things that are like proto punk or weird punk, like Devo, which I would classify as a punk rock band. They made keyboards cool.
That's
and
true.
I think one of the band members said we're the we're the fluid in the colostomy bag of punk rock or something
fantastic.
like. Yeah, just fucking great.
Yeah, I'd consider them punk, post-punk, like 80s.
Exactly.
So
yeah, they had a very unconventional thing, very like an artistic whole perspective, and style about him.
It helps shake things up.
Yeah. And but yeah, it was the Clash. I was like really big in the
They're
Clash,
great.
and so but this call him a Redskin named Eli. He was a communist skinhead.
Oh wow.
And I remember I was at the Court Tavern. I was sitting at a table, and he was standing. We had a leather jacket, and he was standing, and I saw a little red book out of his pocket, and it's Mao's little red book. For I don't know, for any commies out there, they know what I'm talking about.
I must have, yeah, stalking stuff.
But yeah, but he kept me in the scene by bringing up music and stuff like DOA. I don't know if you're familiar with DOA. They're from Canada.
Okay.
And they had an album called Let's Wreck the Party.
Like punk skinhead stuff?
Punk rock, definitely punk. Not so much skinhead, but definitely punk rock.
Yeah.
And political and smart, really good shit.
Totally.
And of course the Ramones, We Want the Airwaves album had come out, and I really liked that.
Sure.
And but yeah, you just kept me in hardcore, punk rock and things like that were really cool.
In the 80s, I'm guessing there was a much more like prolific punk hardcore scene in the area.
Yeah.
For a while. I mean, and it still comes up and goes away every now and then. Like I feel like the Hub City hardcore days have kind of ended in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But you still see bands that pop up every now and then. They're still playing the music and putting on shows and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's nice to see things like that come back. So it's like the 80s. You're getting involved in the music scene around here.
Mm-hmm.
Were you like rolling with like skinhead guys?
No, not really. I mean, there was a crew called like New Brunswick Booty Boys, which I thought was like I don't know what choice was that for the name, but they call themselves the Booty Boys.
Yeah.
And I didn't really hang out with them. Eli, the Redskin, he was the one skinhead that I was hanging out with, most with at the time. There weren't there weren't a lot of skinheads. There was Eli, and there was the Booty Boys, and there was me and all this stuff. But he was like, I remember we ran into him a few years back, and he was with a friend of his, and he saw me and we were talking, and he he pointed to me to his friend and says, "I am the reason why he looks the way he does now." And I'm in my flight jacket, shaved head, and I was like in full skinhead thing, and he was proud. He was just like, I'm the one responsible
primary
for this guy. I had hair, like a lot of hair at one point. I looked like Slash from Guns N' Roses, because I like metal as well.
Sure.
Hell
yeah.
That was
it's better to hang headbang with long hair.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's the story with that.
So your experiences mostly were positive in the music scene around here.
Yeah.
Which kept you around for the most part.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd say you've seen most of those people kind of move away.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah,
right.
I'm still in touch with some people I knew back in the '80s, and there were people I knew back. Well, in the '80s and the '90s, there's still people I'm more or less in touch with. Like
sure.
Some live closer, so it's easier to hang out.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
'90s, I think there was a bigger ska reggae thing too going on in this area, like King Django and
King Django. Yeah.
I feel like
there's a band called Bigger Thomas that came out of New Brunswick.
I saw that the singer, not the dude that died, the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I'm mixing it up. I think someone from Rudy Crew died, but I saw the singer of Bigger Thomas with the Hub City Stompers at the Clash Bar a month ago, and it was a nice time.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, always.
They put on a show.
Yeah.
And just themselves, just
every time
rocking away on the stage. Yeah, they're fantastic.
It's cool. Yeah. So I was a big ska nerd, and I still am. So that band is important to me because I know what they did for the music scene, and especially Inspector 7. Going to the Alien Witch and they're on the jukebox there. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
A little bit New Brunswick history.
Yeah.
Wasn't all right. So there's this guy I used to know who worked at the George Street Co-op named Drew, and he was really close with King Django, Jeff, who did Version City, his studio thing, who still does that, and he toured with Operation Ivy for a while too.
Nice.
So when bands played Brunswick, were the options Melody Bar or Court Tavern? Were there basement shows going on in the 80s?
Yeah, there were basement shows going on in the 80s, but yeah, it was the Court Tavern, the Melody, and there was this other place, the Melody, the Roxy.
Okay.
There's a place called the Roxy as well, and there were very different types. The Roxy was kind of laid out more like an alley. It was at this long bar. It was a long room, a long bar on the left, and they would have bands play. There would be a little platform, and if you wanted to go to the bathroom, you have to walk past the band. So you're rocking out, and somebody's walks up to you and then passes you in order to go to the men's room, and then practically walking through the band.
Yeah.
So and the melody, they had things upstairs, and it was, it was a cool little, like, kind of cozy kind of a place.
All
And,
21 plus.
Yes,
But still
21
all
plus.
thriving, like still all important places
Right.
for like
The
a
Court
music scene.
Tavern like would have all ages once in a while.
I went to some when I was a kid, and like I could have swore, and then people were telling me like, no, they never do all ages shows.
No, they
but-
did. The owner really liked, doing all ages, but the legal problems and shit like that.
Yeah, it's hard.
It was headaches.
Yeah, because the rent's so expensive here that you need a bar kind of to
Yep.
make money.
Yep, I like the idea of being a publican, like owning a pub, and maybe like back in the back cooking like pub food.
Yeah.
And having, I like the idea of, you can bring the kids and a sofa. If you pass out, you can sleep over.
Yeah.
Which might be a problem legally.
Sleeping in a
But
commercial.
I don't
establishment.
want him to drive, and he's got no money for a cab.
That's
so
right.
he may as well.
As long as your intentions are pure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
So Melody Bar closes down. Court Tavern kind of, I think, was open for a while, and then kind of is in limbo now and like kind of reopening and finding their footing now.
Yeah.
But what were the first bands that were like doing basement shows here? Because someone told me it was like the Bouncing Souls, but
The Bouncing Souls had parties,
yeah,
and no bands play at first, but they would have house parties,
yeah,
which were great. They were always great, and they did shows when they moved to Commercial Avenue. They built a ramp for skateboarding, and it was a 2-car garage. So on one side, in the right garage, they pulled this half pipe, and on the other side they had bands playing. They had like big bands come in, and
yeah.
it was like an outdoor kind of a thing. No barbecue, but it was plenty of stuff. This one,
hang, yeah.
yeah. The second one, they had a band. It was Mind Over Matter, and the cops came, and you say, well, let the band like finish their set, and so they watched, and the cops actually got into it. They really liked
That's cool.
They like Mind Over Matter.
Yeah.
So that turned out pretty well.
Nice.
So yeah, there were shows like that, and right next to Commercial Avenue, I can't remember the name of the street, but there was another house that had big shows. Sick of It All played the last show there.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously a lot of important stuff going on, and I think the whole house party thing is neat because it just turns into a hang. That's how you like shoot the shit with people, and like that's how you kind of like strengthen the core of like a scene kind of. So
yeah,
it's nice.
I heard somebody say that a lot of people were coming to the show because it was the thing to do in New Brunswick during that Lewis Street years. And I would think that's right. Wait a minute, I would see these young women, and they would be dressed really nice.
Yeah,
it would be. Oh no!
Oh, did I step on it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. My chameleon.
I have a light. Oh, you have a lighter. Yeah, yeah. There was actually a show at during the Lewis Street days where cops came in when the band was playing.
Yeah.
And I think it was the band like Vasudeva, who like they're like a great like post rock instrumental band.
Yeah.
And the cops were like, "You guys are really good. When I was in college here, I saw Thursday and." I don't think it was Lifetime, like probably Thursday and My Chemical Romance in the basement, and it's like, we're not gonna give you a ticket, but you got one more song and you gotta stop. And it was like, it was cool for like the cops to like at least not fucking evacuate everyone and like to rat our landlord out, and like to be like, yeah, I was a part of this too when I was your age, I get it, like do your thing. Just it's 10:30, so you have to fucking stop. I feel like a key part of having a good house of these shows that is having cool neighbors too.
Definitely. Yeah.
So. Like-minded people
Yeah.
to like come together. Yeah, that's neat about the Souls, man, especially the fucking half pipe. That's so cool. So I feel like skateboarding and punk rock go hand in hand, and it's like they've kind of both, as far as being in the eyes of like the mainstream, like they've kind of both gone away a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I feel like when shit goes mainstream it gets exploited and then like just becomes corny.
Yeah.
In a way.
The thing we talked about, nobody doing zines anymore. I kind of like, I don't blame Green Day, but Green Day had this thing where, there's this thing called punk rock, and it sounds like this, and it brought in a lot of kids
Sure.
into this thing. And for a while, it was this period where you can have a band and tour and make a living, because it was a slow, rise. It was just before, like when Nirvana came out and things like that. That's when there's like awareness of this thing, and then
Sure.
and then you had your Blink 182s and your
Yeah.
and your Green Day. Green Day was the the band that kind of like had this effect. And I think what happened was you had this There's one skinhead I know. He was in a band, and he was just saying, "It's it's not going to last. People are going to get into the scene, they'll stick around, but most are going to leave, and that's what happened. So you had this huge influx, but I think it was like too much to too many people at once to school. So making zines is not like you go to a show and there's a show and things like that, but you have to see a zine in order to get this idea of publishing. You know what I mean? And everything's online now.
Print is a dying medium.
Yeah,
100%.
Speak for yourself. It will never die. I like paper. The physical thing about it is kind of unique.
You can hold it and take it with you, and when you open it, you can only focus on that one thing.
Yeah, you can lose it on the bus, and somebody else will find it.
Yeah. I mean, and this is coming from a guy who doesn't have a smartphone, which I respect. I had a flip phone up until like 14, and then I got a smartphone.
What's the benefit of a smartphone?
I don't know. I swear to God, I'll look at the fucking thing for an hour, and then I'll look up and be like, what did I just do? What was I just reading? I don't remember anything. It's just like static drool. And there's good things about it. For me, like work, emails, I guess. I get to think about work more. That's a positive, right? I got to check my work email.
Oh, well, there you go. on your deathbed, you'll be able to say, I worked more.
I worked on my weekends.
Than I could have. If I hadn't got an iPhone, I have no regrets.
Yeah.
If
If I wasn't a fucking narcissistic band guy, I don't think I would have a smartphone. Well, take the narcissistic out, because I think I keep myself in check enough. But I feel like the band stuff, it's like it's kind of a necessity, but then you feel like everything's so oversaturated online that you're just shouting amongst the crowd of people shouting.
Right.
It gets lost.
And the algorithm, the Facebook algorithm, kind of like sets it up so that you end up living in a bubble.
Yeah.
Where you only like get to see the things that you want to see or that you already agree with.
Yeah.
And it happens like as you scroll down, like you stop for a few seconds on one, and more things like it will show up.
Sure.
Like it's not. It's not like there's this stream of stories that you're going through. You stop at a place, and then this next thing you scroll under was chosen based on other stuff.
Sure, they're calculating everything, how much you look at each ad.
Yeah,
I mean, they listen to your phone conversations. They listen to what you talk about, like in
that really.
the home.
Yeah, that makes me kind of paranoid when dealing with things that some people might consider illegal. But
sure.
And I worry about it. So I was even thinking that instead of like mail for sensitive things, I just mail letters to people, and that's relatively safe.
Yeah, and fun.
Mail. I like writing letters. I got a bunch of Star Trek commemorative stamps.
Cool.
And they're beautiful. Like one's the live long and prosper symbol in the hand, and with the Enterprise inside of it, and there's one of somebody it being transported. It's all like pixelated and stuff. And they're forever stamps. Every stamp now has the word forever on it. And so you see the live long and prosper thing forever. It's like Star Trek forever. Yeah. It's like such a nerding out kind of a thing to have. It's like Star Trek. Excuse me, I'm gonna seal the envelope with my tears of joy.
Goodbye. Yeah, it's that's kind of dissipating as far as like tangible things that have value. And I mean, we're still a consumerist country, we 100% are. But I feel like in the next few generations, that's slowly gonna fade. Like I think a lot of malls are gonna shut down.
Malls are shutting down.
Yeah, they're kind of going. Yeah, everything's turning into online.
Yeah, ruins like the ancient ruins of Greece and Rome, the magnificent Parthenon.
So the malls.
That we've got the malls.
Yeah,
this is what the archaeologists will find.
Malls.
And here where they're gods. Here. This is where they came to worship. This vast environment they created.
This PacSun.
Yeah. And these escalators, they call them, that you would be raised up,
ascend to the heavens,
be ascending upwards, and then you descend out and back into the real world.
Yeah.
After your spiritual epiphanies.
At the Cinnabon, ascend
at the
to
Cinnabon.
the Cinnabon.
Yes, you eat of this Cinnabon. For it is,
this is my body. This vanilla icing is my blood. Yeah. On second thought, fuck malls. I'm glad they're closing.
They ruined downtowns. And they ruined the downtown.
I mean, I've been on tours and I've seen Walmarts just become the center of a town, and then you see these kind of fading mom and pop shops, and it's like,
it's horrible.
All right, so much for that.
Yeah.
But I think the the nice hominess of like having mom and pop shops, I think that's like outweighed by just the convenience of going
Yes.
online and just be like, all right, I need potato chips tomorrow and a screwdriver and a tape measure, and just like you can literally
Boy,
buy
the
it.
plans I have for tomorrow, what I'm going to do with these 3 things.
And then
Don't even ask me what I'm planning to do with the chips. I don't even. That's a secret. That's like total. That's part of the thing. The things I'm doing now with my right hand, right now, and he's watching me. I'm here. I mean, like,
do you want to? You could put the mic down for a second. I can keep talking.
My fingers are delicately at work, and he's just like looking at me with a big smile on my face.
I'm determined. I'm curious to see if you can complete
I'm
the pinch
put
and
this
roll
down while you talk about things.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's weird. Vinyl comes back. That's tangible music.
Yeah.
It doesn't come back to enough to offset, the loss of music sales. But I was talking about this on the last podcast I did. Like, you used to buy a whole CD, and based on one single, and then half the songs could suck. You never really knew. So I think music was kind of exploited and commodified, and the industry suffered. And now it's kind of like in the hands of people again. Shit is way more DIY, I'd say, as far as being a musician. You have all the tools handy.
Yeah.
I don't know the benefits of signing to a label anymore. I don't.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was this other period where if you were a small label, you could, there's a lot of talent, available to stuff. And yeah, but now there's still a lot of talent, but everything, like you're saying, you really don't need to be on a label.
Yeah, the only reason I guess is for the platform, because like I was saying, your voice can be drowned out easily, right? Like there's so many voices, but you gotta just assume that if what you're doing is good and true and like people like it, just keep fucking doing your thing. So you never really played in bands, but you were very active in the show and like in the scene. You're thinking of starting a zine?
I interviewed a band. I'm starting a zine. I am like doing the zine.
That's
thing.
cool.
It's just finding a place. I gotta like figure out how to hook up my printer. Find or just buy the cables to hook up my scanner and my printer and do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I did a zine before, and so I've got nothing but to this day, like people, last year somebody like complimented me on the zine, and this was like over. This is like over 10 years ago.
Wow.
And so
that's nice.
Yeah, it got me to think, I should go back to doing it.
Totally.
And it's kind of different, like, because in the zine, it was like, it was pretty diverse, like politically, and there were a lot of different kinds of bands, and like including skinhead bands.
Sure.
Who tend to be very conservative.
Yeah.
So, but I also have like stuff like for like liberal, progressive, like part which it was kind of like taking like some leftist, crunchy granola activist culture and how it alienates people and how it like actually contributes to things not being diverse.
Sure. Yeah. If you try to be so inclusive that anyone who isn't 100% on the same page you shun, then you're not necessarily being inclusive.
Yeah. And I published this one skinhead. He had interviewed a band. No, he interviewed some guy with of this record label, and which I can't remember the name of it. I think I remember it, but I might be wrong. But anyway, it was the guy who wrote it was super like right-wing conservative, and the guys in this record label were super right-wing conservative. But there was nothing racist or anything in the interview.
Yeah, it's just working class style.
Yeah. Some people say it was sketchy, and they put out a 12-inch with. That was just terrible music, just really bad and really super horrible. There was one song about fag bashing called "Fag Bashing."
Okay. Yeah. So
that alone should tells you how unimaginative. I mean, there are plenty of songs about beating up gay people, but they just didn't make the effort to come up with anything new or innovative. In that genre.
When was that? Because that fucking blows my mind.
That was also like a long time ago. That was years ago, and I didn't review the album because there was no point in reviewing. It wasn't even the politics. It was just really bad music. I had other people listening to it, and this as terrible as I think it. Yeah, and they all said it's terrible. So I didn't see the point. But I did post the interview, and I got a little a pushback from this one skinhead was a sharp, an anti-racist skinhead.
Sure.
Because the label he thought was kind of sketchy and a fag bash song. And, and I said, well, I published it because it wasn't going to be published unless I published it. It was just and it was a good interview.
The interview, yeah.
And it wasn't going to be, it would be my, and I thought it's, they're part of the scene, whether like it or not. They're like a part of the scene. We interact with them, so.
I mean, that's big of you to do that, like to swallow. Because I think so many less people today would swallow something like that and be like, no way are you going to be a part of my thing. Because then it seems like you'd be affiliated with it.
Exactly. Yeah. You.
It's just things are more polarizing now. I feel like where like, and I think the internet makes it difficult. Where like a benefit of a zine is you can put ideas out there, and then no one can like or comment or add up scene points on Facebook, but people can have a conversation about it. So it can in a way open up a dialogue that's not online, because online isn't the best place to have a conversation, really.
I agree. Unless they can come up with a sarcasm font.
That would be actually really nice.
What is that? Sans? I can't remember the name.
Comic Sans?
Comic Sans.
Bullshit font.
That could be, we should make that the sarcasm font.
That would be really good. Yeah, I can't even tell who's being ironic or sarcastic anymore online, because I think it's becoming. What's the thing? The snake that eats its own tail?
The Ouroboros.
Yeah. Snake that eats its own asshole. I feel like that's what the internet is becoming, where it's just shit, regurgitating shit, and irony stemming off of it.
One thing, yeah. I want to ask you what irony is, but I also want the veneer of civilization. This one woman, I can't remember her name. She's a famous blog writer and things like that, female and fat. And proud of it, or at least not ashamed of it.
Sure.
And she gets attacked just viciously by trolls. And at one point she was talking about, there was this one incident where one of her trolls actually confessed and apologized.
Wow.
For making her feel so bad.
Yeah.
And he made a donation to a charity. Again, her name, and mailed her the receipt to prove that he had done that. And but she said the internet reveals the veneer of civilization. It just strips away, and we can see what we really are.
Yeah,
what we're really like.
Savages.
And I think there are people who are the opposite of savages, but I don't think you hear. There was this one comedian, I can't remember her name now, but she forgave this troll, who was saying all these sexist things about her, and she responded by she went to his Facebook page and saw that he was going through a rough time, and just say it's I understand you're going through a lot of pain and all this other stuff, and it was you don't hear about that very often.
No, you don't.
But people whose hero is Fred Rogers, of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Who was a great man.
Yeah, was
truly great man.
Yeah, a warm soul.
But yeah, you use the word irony.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what that meant, because I was conducting my my medical experiments.
Sure.
Yes.
Strictly for science.
I was strictly for science. I was experimenting with different strains of cannabis.
Sure.
To see, and I was taking notes, throughout the thing.
Yeah.
But the note taking kind of faded as the day progressed. So I'm gonna have to do it again.
Sure.
But it was interesting that they do have different strains, and they do have a different effect.
Yeah.
And so I was. Yeah, so I wish I'd brought the notes with me.
Yeah, you can read them out loud.
I could have told you. The first was, anyway. I don't want to get into it without my notes.
Sure.
Next time I'll come on with the notes, or maybe do a live. That would take hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the word irony, because I was smoke, having a smoke. And at one point, I made a note of one of the notes was what I was wearing, which was my short, cutoffs, my jean cutoff short shorts and a cutoff T-shirt, and I was wondering if somebody was there, would they say, "Are you being ironic, dressed like that?" Because I looked like some skater out of the 1970s.
Sure.
With the little bitty skateboards I had back then.
Yeah. Well, one could argue that's trying to be ironic. You're being yourself. But
yeah, I was being myself. But is that being ironic?
Not if you're being yourself. No.
Yeah.
I think if you're a person that feels it oh, this is a bad outfit, but I'm going to wear it to be ironic.
I get it. Okay.
So, what's that Alanis Morissette song? It's like rain.
Isn't it ironic? Yeah, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
She's talking about opposites.
Yeah, there's a comedian, Mo Rocca, who explained it perfectly. Okay, he said Alanis Morissette thinks that irony is like Ray Yane, on your wedding day.
Yeah.
But that's it. Irony is about expectations. So irony is you live in Seattle, but you want to have a wedding outdoors, but it rains in Seattle constantly. So you have it in you organize and get to have it in Death Valley,
Sure.
where it never rains. What happens though is it rains in Death Valley, and it's perfectly sunny in Seattle.
Yep.
That's ironic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about expectation.
Yeah, totally. It's not just opposites.
Right.
It's not just the opposite song.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So me in my short shorts and the cutoff T-shirt is not ironic.
I think you're good.
This is how I dressed in the 70s.
Yeah. No, you're just being you.
I'm just being me. Now I'm rocking a kilt.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty good look.
Thank you. Yeah. I was somebody like went to a spoken word thing, and the MC said that I was the best dressed, awarded the best dressed person. Just a white long sleeve shirt, a white shirt, and a kilt, and that was it. I'm the best dressed. That's all.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. What do you talk about at your spoken word sets?
Hold on, I gotta light something up.
Just some candles.
Candles and incense.
That's
Yeah,
right.
It'll be like beautiful smoke.
Yeah.
Fragrant smoke wafting around.
Oh, it smells extremely nice up here.
Yeah.
The government's listening. I'm gonna get ads on my Facebook for candles and incense. They're listening, but they can't smell and they can't see the incense. Oh man, yeah. I'd imagine that a lot of people at a show dressed like me, more so. Not normie, but like beanie. Like I was at a show recently and I had this beanie on and I was like, oh my god, there's just like six college dudes here with maroon beanies, and I'm just, and not like I try to stand out.
You're like a pack, like
Yeah.
lions.
yeah, just the dudes, just the music dudes. That's what I felt like I was part of. I don't know. It's not a uniform. All right, so how do you feel actually about uniforms in the music scene?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because you've seen more of it than I. Like I grew up as a fucking mall rat, mall metal kid, so there was that whole thing. But that was a phase of like expressing your teen angst. Like you've seen adults in uniform.
Yes.
So
With any group of people, just hold on, one more sentiment, inhalation of incense.
Yes. So I was at that Hub City show, and I mean, obviously, a lot of skinheads, right?
Yeah.
A band was playing, and one of our friends was like, "It looks like the Clifton Fire Department it is on stage," because it's like all guys in like blue jeans and like red shirts and shaved heads. And the band's album was called "Make Oi Great Again." So going back to the conservativeness.
Yeah.
But so you've seen a lot of fashion trends come and go, right? I feel like you managed to be yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most important thing is even if you, I guess, dress the part, because there was value to like skinhead culture coming up, like when it came up in Britain or whatever. Not the racist part that was appropriated.
Yeah, that was a messed up thing.
Yeah, that was stupid. But like, it
was the punk rockers who brought the skinhead scene back.
Yeah.
Which is Mickey Fitz. He was a man called The Business. When he at shows, he would talk to all the punks. Hey, let's hear it from the skinheads. Yeah, let's hear it from the punks. Come on, skinheads, applaud them. And he would say, we wouldn't be around if it wasn't for the punk rockers. Because skinhead thing started in the late 60s, early 70s. And then they grew out of it.
Sure.
And then punk rock came along, and it brought the skinhead scene back. It was a different skinhead scene, but it was, they brought the skinhead scene back.
Yeah.
So thank you, punk rockers. Or fuck you, punk rockers, for doing that, you idiots.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't always like in Britain it wasn't racist because it came like from, I don't know if Indies or like Jamaica.
Jamaican culture.
Yeah.
It was like out of Jamaican independence in 1959.
Sure.
And you had a lot of Jamaican youth Jamaican immigrants having dance halls where you'd go and you'd have a DJ playing music, and it would be, at the time, it would be ska music, and white, working class British kids would go there as well, and they crop their hair down.
Yep.
But not like really short, like a quarter of an inch or something like that.
Yeah, like buzz cut.
Yeah. And those were the first skinheads.
Yeah. And then
so it would be, you'd see black and white,
totally
guys singing,
that's where like
dancing
two tone and like Checkers came out of.
Two Tone was this one period, of Scour's an definitely anti-racist theme.
Sure.
Running through it.
Yeah, but then somewhere along the line, it did become like racism.
Racist ska.
Yeah, well, not there's homophobic ska.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But you mean like the racist thing and the
Yeah.
Sharp, the anti-racist
Sharps,
thing.
yeah.
There's like complaints about Sharp when people complain about Sharps being politically correct and all that. And the only place Sharp chapters exist is when they're Nazis. So you blame the Nazis for Sharp.
Yeah.
For Sharp's.
It was a pushback. It wasn't.
It was a pushback. Yeah. Yeah.
They're not being pussies. They're saying like this is fucked up.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's articles now about there was a riot in Tompkins Square Park
In New York?
decades ago. This was decades ago,
Okay.
but it was a big deal at the time. And there would be like skinheads and with the American flag flying and all this other stuff. And it was a period where there was like a battle going on between, I mean, not skinheads in general, but like Nazis and white supremacists taking over the scene, appropriating the scene.
Sure.
And that didn't happen, but it was like the punk rock side where that kept that from happening.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a few people who get just a lot of attention.
Yeah.
If you look at that, like Unite the Right March, it's
Yeah.
like 500 people in the whole country in Virginia. Granted, some terrible things happen, right? Like
Yeah.
riots and like black guys can like beat down, but it's like it's such a small portion of the country.
Yeah.
They need to be stopped.
Yeah.
That shouldn't, they shouldn't be allowed to hurt people, obviously. But I think things kind of get blown out of proportion with like, when you shine a light on that and give it more attention, then people feel uneasy around each other. And I feel like it kind of becomes more polarizing still. It's more like picking sides and stuff. And like we were saying with the left becoming like not tolerant in a sense because they're so rigid to their beliefs. I feel like,
Well, I don't know if it's about not being tolerant. I think they're like loud activists who are, I mean, they've always been around like loud activists.
Sure.
There's one, right, I don't like this term, but one writer referred to it as naughty activism, like, to be shocking so I think there's this, it's always a minority of people who like can make, positive change or negative change.
sure.
It's always a small number
Yeah,
of
it
people
is.
that
I
can
mean,
shift things.
yeah, those voices definitely are important, and you need the far left to push people on the right more to the left. Like I feel like you need the extremes to help. Now you don't need extremes when it's hatred or violence or bigotry or racism, but like you need social justice extremes
Yeah.
to help push people over, like and kind of see points.
Bayard Rustin was Bayard Rustin. He like organized a march on Washington where Martin Luther King Jr. gave his "I Have a Dream" speech.
Yeah.
But he was both an activist and he got involved in politics. And he said, politics is about compromise. Activism is about no compromise.
Sure.
And that's a very you need the no compromise.
Yeah.
Kind of attitude.
No bullshit. Yeah, because that's how you fight and get your way.
Yeah.
Or get things you feel important for. You fight for them. I wanted to go back to your spoken word stuff because it seems like you write a lot. You have a lot. You have things to say, right?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
What have you?
I was gonna say okay. Yeah.
I mean,
things to say if you all right. If you say
you
so.
did a zine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not many people do those, especially in this day and age. But the fact that you're doing things like that and you're involved like locally in a music scene or in a community rather.
Yeah.
What are your sets like?
What are my sets like? Hold on a second. It depends on. It's like sometimes it starts out with like a set piece, something I know,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of like goes off on tangents.
Sure.
Other times I'm more laid out about what I want to talk about. I try to set it up to reflect something from the audience. So
Okay.
I haven't had that diverse, an audience like punk rockers and like mostly progressive people. I've done spoken word.
Sure.
So it's
That's
not,
the crowd you'll find at an open
Yeah,
mic. You
yeah.
know? People that are willing to listen and express themselves.
Yeah.
I think that one Tiny Guy's kicked.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of like difficult to smoke. And this one, the incense. I mean, I don't know how many. We're not fooling anybody.
No.
That's-
It's fine. The last episode there was a heavy weed talk. I think it comes up on every. You talk to people that are movers and shakers and involved in music and going to shows, and 9 out of 10 times the weed's gonna come up in one way or another. You Yeah. So you were saying you might get a medical card?
Yeah.
Nice.
I haven't looked into it that much, but it's on my list of things to do.
Cool.
I don't have much. There's a lot of paperwork involved.
Yeah, they made it on their Christie. They made it kind of more hard. I think in a year it'll be very easy, much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, sorry. One more time.
Okay. Yeah.
We got a little off.
Right now in my notebooks, I'd be writing, "My eyes feel fuzzy."
Will you like smoke before you perform?
Yeah. This is where I'm also at the state where I start to get undressed. I take my shirt off at this point.
I wanted to bring something up because I've seen you pit naked at shows. When's the last time you've done that?
It's been a long time.
Do you feel like in today's climate it's less acceptable?
I hope not. Well, the thing is, when I've done it, the bands are thrilled. The bands are just really happy about it.
You're bouncing off the walls naked. It's awesome.
And I remember there are two stories. One is I was in Philly at this space, and the band Limp Wrist was headlining, and a band called Rambo from Philadelphia.
Okay,
they were a great band, great punk rock band.
Yeah. And now this is in a venue or like
a venue.
Okay.
But it was a very cool venue.
Yeah.
You were gonna say something? Or?
Well, no, I was gonna say like in a venue, it seems like it'd be harder to get away with something like that unless you're in a sea of people.
This was like a punk rock venue. If it's like Anyway, so they know what goes on. It's pretty.
It's not like Starland Ballroom.
I have a philosophy. If I had a pub, and did I mention this earlier about wanting a pub? Well,
yes. And the couch.
And the couch.
Nudity would be encouraged.
Yeah, a personal, like a motto or the 11th commandment of my pub would be, you can be rowdy, but you can't be rude. You can be rowdy, but you can't be rude.
Yeah.
I got this once when I was hanging out at the Court Tavern one day, and this guy peeks in through the door and says, "Am I allowed back in? Have I been debanned?" And and he comes over and he had referred to it was a customer who was of Asian descent as like a chink, or something like that, and it was a friend of the It was the wife's owner, that she was beyond pissed off, and so she banned him, and that's what happens. And it's kind of thing at the Court Tavern was a total dive bar, so if you got banned there wasn't much else for you to go.
Yeah,
if you're that kind of person that gets banned. And so anyway, like he's talking to Bobby Albert, who owned it at the time, and the guy says, "Bobby, like I pushed over a table, with the pictures and glasses on. I pushed over a table," and Bobby says, that's and I hear this and I say, you can be rowdy, but you can't be rude. Yeah. Tossing over pushing over a table is not the same as calling another human being a chink. Yeah. It's not the same thing.
Sure.
There's a galaxy-wide difference between the two.
It's almost like,
and that would be the rule in my place. You can be rowdy, but you can't be rude.
That's fair.
Like urinating in the corner, that's rude.
Yeah. Knocking a table over if you don't, I guess, break too much.
No, if you break the picture with the plastic
pay for
anyway,
it.
You pay for the cleanup.
I
remember this one out in the city, out in New York City, in this punk rock. It was so early, and only the second band was on, and this kid was outside. This punk kid, mohawk and all that, started throwing up on the sidewalk. And of course, the guy running the thing, like, who did this? And of course, it was this punk rocker. He comes out with a bucket and a mop, and all of a sudden, you have to clean this up.
Yeah. Accountability.
You have to clean this up. And it was there was laughter and all this stuff. But
deal with it.
You got to deal with it.
So what happened when you were in Philly and you got naked in a pit?
What happened was in Philadelphia, I look, to my left, and there's this kid. He's naked. And I was like, oh, wow, he's all ready to go. Apparently, this was a Philadelphia thing. This was not unusual. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So he's naked. And then there was this other naked kid. And like, oh, there's a third naked kid. Oh, that's adorable. Then a fifth, and like, mother, son of a gun. And so I start stripping off. Rambo's about to go on, and it's like, whoop, not yet. And I'm like, because I got to unlace the boots and everything else.
Yeah.
And it was just a great time. It was just crazy fun.
Crowd didn't care?
No, they don't care. It's Philadelphia, apparently. That's like not unusual, or wasn't unusual at the time.
Cool.
And then this other time in New Brunswick, I was at a venue. And when the bands are really good, I get naked. When the band I get carried away, I get naked. And people
I've seen it happen like stressed out shows.
Stressed out shows were great. Those were fun.
Yeah,
and again, like the lead singer of Stressed Out was just thrilled every time.
Rich, my doppelganger. People say we look very alike. So.
Yeah, all this nudity, and he was really smart. Like the last show, there was there was more nudity than usual. I wasn't the only one.
Good.
And he was really grateful.
Yeah.
But I got naked at this one show. And my friend was there with his new girlfriend, and so she said that she was thinking of getting naked as well.
Okay.
But she didn't, because she felt that she said for me it would have been different.
Sure.
See, and I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I never thought it.
Become objectified, even if like not by you.
Even not by you.
Because you're viewing her just as a person.
Right,
someone's gonna be like, oh.
Yeah. So
the girl parts.
Yeah, the thing in the scene is, women should, feel secure in being able to get naked at a show.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's just a privilege on my part.
Yeah. flaunting and wagging your male
wagging
privilege.
Around, flaming around like a Christmas tree ornament dangling away.
Well, now what if someone doesn't want to see a naked guy at a show? Look away.
They'd look away. That's kind of This is the thing about on the liberal progressive sides. It's like hurting somebody's feelings.
Sure.
Is bad. Making somebody uncomfortable, is bad. And I can totally understand that. Like once this was back in at the 90s. It was the turn of the century. Anyway, it was this friend. His friend of mine has a brother, and I found out that his brother was in the Marines.
Okay.
I knew that because I was walking by their house, and the Marine flag was flying along with the American flag. Great guy.
Yeah.
He's a musician, and one time there was this at this house there was a wounded pigeon.
Okay.
That it couldn't fly, it wasn't flying or anything, and they were worried. So. They went in to call animal control or whatever, and this Marine was out with a saxophone serenading the pigeon.
Wow.
So that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, yeah.
So they heard about a poetry reading, and so, oh, cool, there's some poetry. So he wants to look his best. So he dressed in his dress blues, which is the formal Marine guy. So you see him, and he is a Marine.
Sure.
In the dress blues,
fully decked out,
looking great.
Yeah.
So he walks in, and he told me this. He walks in, and suddenly everything got quiet. People were like looking at him. He suddenly felt uncomfortable, and it kind of pissed me off. But at the same time, I kind of understood, sort of in a way. I can't say I truly understand. I wasn't really that pissed off, because today, this was like 15 years ago. Today, well, more like 20. Anyway, it was a while ago. Today, they would have thought, oh my God, we didn't create a safe space for the Marine.
Yeah.
We didn't create a safe. We made somebody feel uncomfortable. That seems to be a big part of it.
I think like you would still kind of get shunned if you were if you imagine going to a basement show in army attire. I think some kids, like hip kids, would give you a look still.
Yeah. See, that's not cool.
No, it's not. Everyone should just fucking hang out. I have a bandmate in one of the bands I play in, and he'll wear like sports jerseys. He likes basketball. He dresses how he wants to dress. And I've seen him get vibed by people. Like I've seen him get like stares, like, oh, what a jock. It's like, it's 2018. What are you doing?
Right.
It's funny how that flipped. Like early 2000s, the story that we saw on the TV was the jocks would beat the nerds up, right?
Right.
And now, 15 years later, the nerds are judging the jock and attacking him with sarcasm.
Oh no! And then, oh no, not puns! No.
Yeah, God, less puns, please, this year. I can't do any more fucking puns. Yeah. It's just funny how things change every time.
This is where I'd get naked, like right now. This is the state. I've got the smiley. We're gonna call it smiley weed.
Yeah,
I can feel my cheeks. Start.
So it's like an energy thing.
It's it exactly.
That's
I like my 100 push-ups. Like yesterday, I got had the smiley weed, and got the cheek, and it was energy, a lot of energy. So,
Yeah.
or I can like, do 100 push-ups, or I can masturbate 3 times. And I will like, screw that.
You made the right choice.
I mean, fuck this. Yeah, I can do that anytime.
Yeah, exactly.
That would just be a waste.
Yeah, laying in your own filth.
So I did, 100 push-ups, not all at
Respect.
once. I started out like 25, and I started getting, I got tired, like, and then another 25, 50, and then 15, and then at a certain point I stopped, adding, like, I did 50 and then 25. Then I started counting up. I'm 67. I'm going to go at 68, 69, 70, and it actually kind of like worked better in my brain.
You squeezed them out, which is funny
Yes.
because if you masturbated 3 times, you would be squeezing it out by the third time.
Exactly. Dust, really. I'd be dehydrated. And what would be the point of that?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
You just lay in bed or lay wherever and just be bummed out.
Exactly.
Well, all right. So there. Oh, also, there used to be like an old punk band called PED.
Yes.
Okay.
Post-ejaculatory depression.
Exactly. Dude, that is such a real thing. I wish like I knew more about that. Were they played around here?
Yeah, they played around here.
Yeah.
They were great. They
Cool.
were hilarious.
Yeah, that's a great name. I'm sure the lyrical content was on point.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
They were very goofy.
All right. So something about.
Another great New Brunswick band, DOA.
Okay.
AOD.
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 What did that stand for?
Adrenaline overdose.
Cool.
And they were the Chunks of Records put out some of their vinyl, again, real
Ah.
old vinyl, and it's great.
I'm gonna dig that up later.
And
on
they were
YouTube.
hilarious. They were so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
you were about to say.
Oh yeah, I was saying there's something about like mosh pits and push pits, whatever, that there's an energy to it that I feel brings people together.
Agreed.
When everyone's there having a great time watching a band and like just fucking going off the wall and going crazy, to me it feels like it unifies people, and some people feel like it's bad and it makes people feel isolated and attacked, and I don't really feel that. Granted, I'm a male. I'm a guy. I'm taller. I don't really have to worry about getting hurt too much. I have gotten punched in the face and been very upset about it. But that's the nature of it. It should be like chaotic, right?
Yes.
And some of the chaos is a naked guy bouncing off the fucking wall.
It happens once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's like an ideology of punk rock that can be lost sometimes, where it's like, I mean, there was that whole like crowd surfing debate like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Where,
Well, what was the debate?
well, this band Joyce Manor, like the band would stop on stage whenever someone stage dove, and I get it in the sense that if you're an idiot and you're just diving onto a girl's neck.
Right.
My girlfriend at a Joyce Manor show literally got jumped on, and she was standing by herself and knocked to the ground.
Yeah.
And she got up and she fucking punched the guy in the head because she was upset. Rightfully
There
so.
you go. Good for her.
Exactly. Some vindication. But like the band would stop on stage and lecture about, stage diving and crowd surfing. So
What was their argument?
it's not safe.
Okay.
They don't want it to happen during their music because they don't want anyone to be hurt.
I get it.
They're like they're a like fuzz punk band, like almost like Weezer, like faster, right?
Okay.
So it's not necessarily the same. You're not getting the same crowd that you would at like a punk hardcore show, right?
Right.
So different people, different mindsets, right? But I just think it kind of is part of having fun for me.
Yeah,
And I like
yeah.
doing it at a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Well, whenever it happens. Granted, a lot of shows I'm at, it doesn't happen, but
Yeah.
I'll headbang and push into people as much as I can. You know?
It reminds me of this other thing where like I was at this show and it was, there were like hardcore bands and punk rock bands, and anyway there this one skinhead, like, came up to me, he was between bands, and he was shirtless and sweaty and like just young lion,
Sure.
And anyway, like a bit of a fight broke out, and then some people were complaining about it, and he just kind of like shrugged his shoulders and then walked away. And
Yeah.
a couple of weeks later, he came to deliver mail at the radio station because he's working at UPS, and he brought some mail, and he was talking about what happened at the fight, and he'd said, so the kids were saying, well, we just want to have fun, and he said, for some of us, getting into a fight is fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's something important that needs to be acknowledged.
It's true.
And because
True.
it exists.
Yeah.
And I remember, years and years ago. Of course, everything is a long time ago. So just let's assume. Goes back at least as far as the 80s.
I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, yeah. At least
so
somewhere between the 80s to present
I want
day.
to be precise in the dates, and I can't just keep. I'm not in the mental state.
Sure, I think the incense had something.
So it's a while back.
Yeah. I mean, some people do want to go to shows to fucking vent, and I don't think you should ruin someone's night. I think if you're at a hardcore, like I've been to some Meat Locker shows in the past 3 years where people are throwing punches out of my head and like kicking the walls, and it's like, all right, well, I know this is going to happen. I'm choosing to stand here still because I had a good time.
Yeah.
Kind of feeling uneasy and kind of the thrill. And like I would get in there too and push people and like dance or whatever. And like it's part of the thrill and part of, I guess, the culture of it. But when it becomes like hyper masculine, toxic, like misogynist, that's when it's like too much.
It loses. It's not fun anymore.
But the line becomes blurred between what's okay and what's not because everyone has a different line.
Yeah, I remember this one. It was reported this one skinhead was reported talking to another skin, a friend of his, saying, "I can't wait for the last band so I can get into a fight with skinheads from out of town." And the sting of battle is something. And so the thing is, like, how do you factor that in? Into a scene? Yeah. Like, can you say like
because it can be fucking destructive. Yeah, it can ruin a lot of shit.
Yeah. Or should that be banned? Should that you are overheard saying, "I can't wait to get into a fight with somebody."
Yeah, like to me that guy's an asshole. Yeah. To me, I hope he doesn't hear this and find me. I don't think he will. But all right, like so in my teens, I was playing shows and they were like post-hardcore, metalcore shows, and there was like. These fucking goons that would follow our bands around, like nice guys, but they would, they had the mosh guy attire on, right? The uniform, per se.
Yeah.
And they would literally start fights at every show. Our band became known as the Fight Band, and like venues got shut down, like Heightstown VFW. There was a fight there. We ran a show at the Italian American Club in my town. It got shut down because of fights.
Yeah.
And it's sad when spaces get shut down because then you lose places where you can foster a music scene.
Right.
So you need the chaos, like I don't know.
It's it's a delicate balance.
It is.
It's kind of, but as I said, like making a hard line thing. Some people who are known to have, you've started fights, you're constantly starting fights, and you're not allowed.
Yeah.
If that's all you're gonna do.
Yeah, like you shouldn't work out all your issues in a mosh pit. Like go to fucking therapy or exercise or something. Do something.
Yeah.
But I do think there can be something that brings people together about dancing at shows.
Yeah.
And I feel like it kind of is becoming more lost now, and I don't know if you would agree because you've been going to shows for much longer than I have, but I feel like the shows it's also the shows I'm at. I think I see less of it, but it just feels like there's less of togetherness, like in energy wise, from moshing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough because I don't want to see anyone's house get destroyed or anyone get hurt.
No, indeed.
Yeah. Everyone's got to have the right idea. Like when you're naked, you're not like running up to people. You're not like rubbing your dick on people.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, you got a point there.
Yeah, you at least have some decency in mind and like respectfulness and respecting boundaries. Right.
Yeah, have to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, look away.
Yeah. But some people are just going to say that it's not enough. It's not enough to be told to look away.
Yeah,
this is extremely upsetting to me.
Sure, and I've heard people say that actually.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I was like, I don't. You pick your battles. Like, were the intentions good? Like, was it part of the vibe of the show and like having fun? Like,
yeah, those are good questions.
Yeah,
but, they might not be the questions they've got in mind or some of their issues.
Yeah, it's hard for people to see other races and myself too. Yeah, that's why I do feel like it's better to talk about things than start an internet battle.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm all for activism and awareness. Like I think I learned a lot from the internet about injustices in the world, but when as soon as it becomes a dialogue and like you can literally like comments on the internet, like on Facebook. And then it becomes like a point system. Like, people are voting and picking sides. And it's like, the dialogue isn't always as open as it could be. It's more like people throwing punches and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
It brings us back to the illusion of civilization. That's the veneer of civilization. That's stripped away.
Sure.
We're really. Yeah, I don't know. It's like because I don't know if you're familiar with this guy Viktor Frankl.
No, not too much.
He wrote a book called Good.
Yeah.
I like talking about this guy.
Go on.
He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and it's about him. He's a therapist, a psychotherapist, and he ended up in a concentration camp, in Nazi Germany. He and his wife ended up in a concentration camps.
Yeah.
And he survived, and it's a harrowing book. I mean, highly recommended. Incredible story. But he developed this form of therapy called logotherapy, and it's the ultimate power of positive thinking book. It's possible.
Sure.
And there's one story in there. The premise is this. Sigmund Freud said that if you put people in a desperate situation, the masks fall off and you see the real person underneath, which is always, animalistic and,
self-centered,
degrades.
wanting to survive. Yeah.
Yeah. And but Frankl said that Freud had never seen the concentration camps. That didn't take place. Right? And he did see people put in desperate situations, and the masks did fall off, but every face was an individual face. It was still an individual face. They didn't all turn to savagery. Some people turned, who were nice, before ending up in the camps, turned to pigs. Now, other people who were really horrible people act like saints.
Yeah.
And he also, there was this one guy he talked about who had a dream, and in the dream, it was a specific date, and on that date, all of his problems would be solved.
Yeah.
And he saw the end of the war and the liberation would be happening on this date. And suddenly his attitude was different. He would work out and all this other, all these other positive things.
That's great.
And he would try to keep track with what was happening in the war, like whatever news he was able to get through. And it didn't seem like the war was going to be over. The closer the date came, the less likely it seemed that the liberation was going to come.
Yeah.
And the day arrived, and he died in his sleep.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, of course, that's anecdotal. I believe it happened, and it could be a complete coincidence. But it's consistent with a lot of other stories he has to tell about what he saw in the concentration camps.
Yeah.
And Viktor Frankl, you'll find a lot of his stuff, online. But Man's Search for Meaning, and I recommend it to anybody. A friend of mine when he would see it on when people would be selling books, book fairs and stuff. If he ever saw it, he'd buy it so he can give it to friends. He'd give it to other people.
Yeah.
Great book.
I do think a lot of just productivity and just happiness is mindset, and just having a positive outlook on things,
Yeah.
which becomes hard a lot of the time,
Yeah.
It's hard, but I think you can trick your body into doing things that it doesn't want to do, so I've been saying I'm going to exercise for a long time, and I never really started, but I have been more productive this year. That's nice, just because I've been like, this is what I'm doing now,
Yeah.
I giving myself an out to do things. As soon as I know there's an out, I can put this off. That's when I become a sack of shit. That's when it's like over. So, that's good stuff. What was the name of the book one more time?
Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I've been just rambling on.
No, I've been having a good time. This is cool.
I haven't really, come to think of anything to actually talk about.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I'm glad we brought up some of this stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, loose format when I do these, because I like just a natural conversation.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like I've done earlier ones, and it felt like I was interviewing a band or interviewing someone. So what instrument do you play? It's just boring and stale.
Yeah.
I feel like you get to know a person more just hearing them talk about shit that they want to talk about.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest change you've seen in the music community over time?
The biggest change in the...
Yeah, I guess in a local, in the basement scene, let's say.
I don't know what to say about that. the biggest change.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's people just going
It
to
is.
these shows, having a good time.
It is.
Right? I think the internet changed a lot. But I mean, it's still people going to have a good time and
Yeah.
have experiences, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know. Do you what I'm trying to think of a good question I could ask. What all right, tell me about like a memorable show, I guess. That
Oh man.
I'm sure there's been a lot.
There was a band called Dead Guy.
Okay.
And there's this one guy in the scene who was going to Middlesex County College, and he got into the the department, the events.
They did shows there for a while.
And they did shows there for a while in this huge room, and it was so there were various shows.
I think Lifetime played there.
Lifetime
Ensign,
played,
I'm sure played there.
Played there, yes.
Yeah.
It was really great.
That's awesome.
And Youth Brigade
Cool.
played there. That was great.
Yeah.
And there was a naked guy in the pit. I remember that for Youth Brigade.
Yeah.
Which was pretty funny. And afterwards, I was chastised by this one skinhead, like saying, why weren't you naked? Why didn't you get naked, Pedro? And I was like, I was all these clothes and I had the boots on.
Yeah,
I had to unlace them, and he was just like, reasons, no excuse. So, but and there was a Sick of It All playing a basement show. It was the last show at this Handy Street house.
Cool.
And so that was a great show. Unfortunately, kids wouldn't stay in the backyard. They kept hanging outside, and the cops came.
That'll do it.
But Sick of It All got to play, and it was really, a great. They said, they were proud to be playing, in this basement. And
That's really neat.
It was all the other bands, so that was very cool.
Yeah.
So that was cool to hear.
Yeah. A lot of history in this town.
Yeah, it does have a history.
I think zines are an important and cool thing to get people like kind of in the know. Of like,
right,
because most people involved in DIY are going to shows. Even not everyone agrees on the same thing, obviously, but like, there's some common understanding with playing music, going to shows, supporting local music, hanging out. Not being a dick is one of them, right? Not being an asshole.
Yeah.
And just like-mindedness, like building a community, at least in that sense. So, yeah. So, what are you looking to do in your next scene? Stuff like that.
My next zine?
Yeah.
I can say the next zine is like pretty much what the previous zine was. I wanted to be a mixture of different bands, like different styles, different communities, in the
different voices.
Different voices.
Yeah.
And keeping it that way. And
cool.
There's some politics, but in more I don't know, like more personal kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like especially for people listening to this, or most people, we can all agree that the president is bad. It's not like even a hot take. It's just
stunning.
Like
it's a stunning situation. And there are people who think he's great and he's done a lot, and there are problems. There are problems, and
it's a big reflection of the divide in this country.
Yeah, which I think has been fomented. I think there have been people who've. I know. There's proof that people been getting paychecks to divide this country. In Russia, there were these Twitter people, like hundreds of these people who are like tweeting and posting stuff on Facebook that agitated people on the right.
Sure.
But this one guy who created fake news for a couple of years, paid the bills, made a living doing this, and then stopped because he felt he was like hurting the country. Would do these things, but always like aimed at the right wing. And he was asked, well, why don't you do it for the left wing? And he said, no, liberals fact check.
Yeah.
And see, that sounds like a messed up judgmental things to say. It's just true. Because I have conservative friends, and they just post stuff that would take like a minute, it would take 27 seconds to prove or disprove it. And I see them like put it up and then a few minutes later take it down again. But by this time I post stuff. This is how you fact check, but it never ends.
Yeah,
it never ends.
It's wild. In college too, that was like one of the things that one of my like first years at Middlesex, the teacher was like, look, sources and fact checking is one of the most important things. If you plagiarize 3 words, I'm failing you. And she did. And it's like, it's so important, like 10 years later, it's so important to fact check, know a source.
Yeah.
the validity of a source, just fucking everything. Because a lot of shit can be skewed so easily.
Yeah.
It's the age of spin, I think Dave Chappelle said. You can take any fact and spin it any way you want. People will read the headline and then they'll form their opinion just off a headline,
Yeah.
So I agree. I think people need to look into things more. I think that more personal, political, like socially or whatever, is more important than saying, here's why the president's bad, because there's countless things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just sucks, like feeling like we have to I feel like very disenfranchised once again. I was a Bernie Sanders bro. Not like I think like everything would have panned out if he was elected, but I think he would have been the best choice.
I agree.
And he actually got me at least engaged in some extent. Like I started listening to like talk radio and stuff, and like,
I think he did that with a lot of people.
Yeah, he like, he got a whole generation engaged, and like his message kind of spoke to people. And it's shitty he was kind of conned out of things, right?
Yeah.
And that's the game of politics,
Yeah.
And here we are, and now I'm disengaged again. I don't know if that makes me a shitty citizen, but I literally don't even give it the time of day. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm sure bad things are happening. Try to be an ally in any way I can in real life. Donate money, volunteer, whatever. But like, I don't want to know about shit, because what am I gonna do? I go on Twitter and change the fucking world? Like,
yeah, that could be a very calming, sane, logical, reasonable way to go.
Yeah.
In order to keep from going insane.
Yeah. There's just so much. You could fucking drive yourself crazy. I have people who like just check the news every day.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a story every day about something.
Yeah. PBS keeps me sane.
That's good. Mr. Rogers.
Oh, Fred Rogers. Well, I don't watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood anymore, although he is a great hero to me.
Oh, nice.
And he's a great hero to me. And I actually have a YouTube playlist, Mr. Rogers Remembered, and it's all videos of Mr. Rogers being interviewed and
cool
little videos about about things he did.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah.
Good soul, good man.
A good soul.
Yeah. So you have a YouTube channel you were saying before?
Yeah.
And you just videos from shows and stuff?
Different show. One channel that has a playlist, The Life We Lead, and I'm putting up videos of this cable access show I did. And I'd like to get back to doing that again.
When did you do a cable access show?
This was in a while ago. Everything is a while ago. So this was in the 90s. It was again mid-90s thing. It was around the mid-90s.
In this area?
In this area.
Cool.
It was on cable access.
Did you go to a studio and film it?
No, it was like guerrilla. We go to shows with a camera, and then the guy would edit it for me, and we'd post that up. And so I want to do it again.
That's wild. How did you get it on cable access?
I don't even remember how the guy.
Just
So I
knowing
think the guy who wanted to produce it was starting to do it himself, and then I think he asked me to do it.
Cool.
To be the host, and the title "The Life We Lead" was my idea. I don't remember who originally coined it, but I think I was the one who came up with it.
Cool.
But I kind of insisted on that being the name.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
and you did radio too?
I used to do radio. I'd like to do it again. A friend of mine, like I said, said I should do a podcast.
Yeah.
I have no idea what. It's one of those things. I have no idea what I would talk about.
Whatever, I don't plan shit. Sometimes I do when I have guests. I'll do, if it's a band or something, I'll do like maybe 5 to 10 minutes of research, and that's it.
Yeah.
But what station did you do radio for?
It was on Rutgers Radio, WRSU.
Okay.
88.7.
88.7. Okay, because I did the core. I did 90.3 for like 3 years, and it was fun. Yeah, but 88.7 actually played music that was more my speed. A lot of, like some hip jazz stuff, and like. You find like cool like world music on there a lot too. Yeah. So that was neat always. Yeah. That's awesome. All right, let's wrap this guy up.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
We've been having a good time.
Yeah, seriously. Come back.
I would. I was going to ask you. Would you have me back, please?
Yeah, next time you can get naked.
Oh, okay. Sure.
That's the teaser. Tune in next time.
I will get naked.
For audio of a man getting naked.
Of a man. I'll take it off slowly, like one article of clothing.
Perfect.
As I go.
I'll do like Howard Stern style and like try to sexually describe it. The boots are coming off.
Yeah, you've got the voice. You can like do the sexy voice.
My nasally ass voice.
Nasally ass voice.
Cool, dude. Yeah, thanks for coming through. This was
I
a lot of
was
fun.
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We'll do this again.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye.